Oh, what does he say? What does he say? I am never going to financially recover from this. This is the way of the dork.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 45 of the Four Dorksmen Podcast. I'm Nate, a.k.a. Angry Nate.
Dunder Mifflin, this is Joey.
I'm Collector Clint.
I tell you what, that's all I'm saying.
And we are joined this week by very special guest, our good friend, Austin. I'll give him a chance to introduce himself, Austin.
Hey, guys. My name is Austin. I'm known as the Funko Hunko on Instagram. And Austin _ Keel on Twitter. Yeah.
Double underscores.
Double underscore. Because he's double awesome.
Double
right.
awesome.
I think it's just because the Twitter account when I was younger was 1_ and I didn't want to look at the tweets from that. So
growth. It's all about growth, right? Especially
right.
Social media.
Right.
Yeah. So before we get too far into this, just want to say a couple of things. I know that the world right now is a little bit crazy. There's a lot of things happening that are very scary, and there's just kind of a lot of craziness happening. We hope that what we provide here is just something that you guys can just relax and listen to and enjoy without kind of taking a break from the craziness happening out in the world. We don't want to make this super political because this is not what we're about. We just know that, there's right and wrong, and hopefully you listening out there can decide for yourself what's right and wrong and, make your decisions and be safe. And that's really all I want to talk to you guys about that, because I don't need to make this into a big political rant about anything because nobody listens to us for that.
Be safe and wash your damn hands. There you go.
And wash your damn hands. Don't forget to wash your hands.
And just be kind to everyone. That's the simple rule.
The golden
rule. Do unto others as you would want done unto you.
Yes.
Couldn't have said it better. Before we go too much further, can we praise Austin for a minute?
Yes.
I mean, we got that out of the way, but we got to praise him.
Oh, guys,
I don't know if you guys have seen Austin's artwork, but it's great. And I know you all have seen Austin's artwork because all four of our avatar heads were his creation. He also does a lot of cool stuff, a lot of Funko inspired drawings. His sodas are a lot of fun to see. So you keep doing that, sir. We enjoy that. And kudos, sir. You're a young kid who's doing some great art. So please keep it up.
I appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity to do that for y'all. It's certainly been a experience this past year, just seeing how my art has grown, and definitely interacting with y'all and how many people it has put me in contact with and let me become friends with. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Keep it up for our pleasure.
I just want to say, we've known each other probably going into a year at this point, because it was kind of the fun days last year that brought a bunch of us together, not just, Austin, but just seeing the improvement that you've just made in your artwork, seeing it from when you first, were kind of, getting acclimated to the group, and we were all just kind of checking each other's, Instagrams and all that kind of stuff out, and, seeing your artwork and seeing how far you've come now, to some of that stuff that you've, been doing. Especially my favorite stuff that you do is the Freddy take on the Freddy Funkos that you would get at Fun Days, where it's, Freddy as Dwight, for instance, I think is excellent. And then it was Freddy as the creature from the Black Lagoon, I want to say you did.
That's it.
Is that correct? Did you do? Oh, yes. Just excellent work. You've come a long way, and you've got a long way to go to just be an artist. If that's not something you want to do for the rest of your life, I understand that, but it's you definitely got the talent, sir.
There you go. Yeah. So anyway, we had to make sure to say that, because we don't just shout out any artist. I mean, have you seen me draw? So
we don't want to.
We don't want to see you draw.
It's like you're singing. Yeah.
Exactly. I was going to say that. We don't want to hear you sing, Clint. So please.
It's almost as bad as Ryan's jokes. So
hey.
No jokes from Ryan. No singing from Clint.
Michi's not here right now. You don't have to side with her all the time. Even though she's like, you're not funny,
I'm siding with my ears. That's who I'm siding with, because I don't want to hear it. I'm just kidding. I love you, Ryan. Tell us your lame jokes.
Tell us a joke.
Come on, Ryan.
You really want
On the
one right
spot.
now?
Tell us a joke.
Well, okay, I was going to
Give
try
us a
to save this
BDJ.
one for the fun cast, but since you're putting me on the spot, this is the only one I can think of. What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry?
I don't know. What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry?
58, as in 5'8".
No, don't explain it.
It's as in 5'8" or
You gotta
part of
wait
the
for
joke.
us to
Like,
process
Googled
it.
like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Hey,
Well, you
so
wanna get on the
Jokes
spot.
come with
That's
an
the only thing I can
instruction
think of.
manual.
the breakdown of how it happened. So
That is the way
real
my
quick,
hamster wheel mind works, Clint. You know that. I'm overly
Hamster
technical and
wheel
analytical,
mind.
so have at
That might
it.
be an
Oh my
episode
gosh.
title now. Hey, so before we get any further, I want to make sure to shout out Andrew New Beardland for our bingo card at, of course, dorksmanbingo.com. He was on last week. We loved it. Well, we will be announcing a winner soon. Probably by the time you hear this, we already announced it. But we're going to take it one step further, and I want to go ahead and shout that out if you guys are cool with that. And as you know, we're for episode 45. We're getting to episode 50, and we want to do some cool stuff with that. So we are going to have another bingo card contest, but this time you decide on the bingo squares. Here's how it works. Go to, and I got to make up the website here, podcastbingo.com/dorksman50, which is Andrew's site. There is a blank bingo card there. Feel free to print it out, take a screenshot, whatever. Fill it out with whatever bingo squares you think we would want. Now, these can be things you want us to say, things we have said, things that are already a bingo square, whatever you think would be the ideal bingo square would be. Okay? Y'all, are the Dorksmen and Austin, you with me so far?
I am right here.
You're not
All right.
singing it, so I'm listening.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Well, no, I'm kidding.
Just keep explaining,
Just,
Clint.
I'm
just
gonna
keep
mute you,
explaining.
Clint.
There you go.
I'm going to
So
mute you.
from there,
Explain it.
I can't explain it, Jesus. Anyway, from there, what you guys are going to do is you're going to send it to us at dorksman@gmail.com. Our email, we're going to integrate that. You have to send it to us before episode 50 starts, okay? Once you do that, feel free to use it when we do episode 50, posting it on Instagram, Twitter, etc., and we will be happy to share all of that everywhere we go. The winners, we will have winners. We'll have, I think we're looking at 3 contest winners, just kind of randomly picked, but we'll definitely be sharing some of our best ones. Prizes to be announced. We have ideas. We just haven't had it done yet. So we really hope you guys will participate because we really want to make the celebration of 50 episodes fun for you and for us. So more details on that are obviously going to be shared online, but we really hope you guys will participate. And that actually includes all of us. I'd like to see what we come up with for bingo squares.
I really think one of the prizes should be you doing a singing telegram now that we've talked about it.
Oh, there we go.
Austin,
That'll be
why would you
punishment
subject the
than a
3 of us
prize.
to that pain?
If somebody emails us the card after the 50th episode, that's what they're going to win.
Here's what's
Oh,
going to
gosh.
happen. Whoever does not participate in the contest, Clint will sing for you. That's how that's going to work.
That's how it's gonna work. So you
and
want
Ryan's going to tell you a joke.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll be sharing that more and more.
Wow.
But we really hope you guys participate because Andrew's done a lot of good stuff with that. Shout out to Larry from the SDS guys for the direct to our bingo card, which you should be doing right now, dorksmanbingo.com. And we really hope you guys enjoy this, as I know we will enjoy whatever you come up with.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. But since we're plugging stuff, Austin, I know your commissions are open, and I know you're working on stuff like that right now. So why don't you give yourself a quick plug while we have a moment here plugging all this stuff after we hear Clint talk.
Yeah, sure. Just email me at austinkeel11@gmail.com or DM me. Feel free when it comes to my Twitter or my Instagram. Just reach out, look at my work on there. And I also want to give a shout out to Clint's mom on this podcast just because I've always wanted to do that.
My mom appreciates
Oh,
that.
that was perfect.
I had to use that spotlight for something. So
Oh, man.
That was perfect.
Bingo Square,
for that.
FYI, guys.
Wow.
Just look it up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well,
while
while we're on the subject of forcing things,
no, don't do it.
Do you have
don't
hemorrhoids
do-
again?
yes, I do.
Don't do it.
Fine, I won't.
We're like 10
Yeah.
minutes in and haven't talked
Yeah,
about
really
it.
like that.
Hot dog.
So let me quickly just
I didn't say the typical one. I haven't said hot dog in a while.
Brian mute himself. That's true.
You forget.
did last
I am the
episode.
controller of this ship, so I'm not going to.
I don't know if he did. One of us did, though. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was me. Anyways, quick housekeeping things. _Dorksman, Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you're following us. Comment on SoundCloud. We like to respond on SoundCloud. You can always email us at dorksman@gmail.com. So for the first time ever, we'll probably be looking at the email during the contest leading up to episode 50. So yeah, make sure you use that email and follow Clint's instructions. If you don't want him to sing, and if you don't want Ryan to tell a bad joke, make sure you do that.
I got more than one joke.
So
Keep it coming.
Please no. Anyways,
For the rest of us, please.
yeah, do it for Joey and myself. These other two, yeah,
And the rest of humanity.
and the rest of
I'll
humanity.
think of the guest today too, guys. Come on.
Yeah, see,
me.
sign
Screw
up.
you guys. I'll do it for
Austin,
Austin.
part of the rest of humanity.
I'll do it
where'd
for
Austin go?
Austin.
Did he
That's
just hang
all
up
that
on
needs to
us?
be said.
Oh man.
He says he's getting off social until Christmas. Look what you did. This is what he's
Right.
doing now because of this. He's gone.
Yeah, we don't want that. Austin.
No. So let's keep this thing moving here. So we've got some Ask the Dorksmen questions this week. We love hearing from you guys. We love seeing all your questions. So we'll do Manny's first today. So shout out to Manny Night Bodega. Thank you for the question. His question is, how did you all learn to drive? Was it auto or standard? What made you nervous when you first started driving? So we'll start with probably Joey because he's the oldest, so he's probably with the Flintstone
Yes.
dragging
Yes.
feet in the
Come on,
stone
Twinkle
car.
Toes.
Hey,
What's
the
your answer?
haircut helps.
Well, the first thing I
haircut
had to
helps.
learn how to do was crank up at the front of the car.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. No, I actually, the most, if we're talking about like prior to driver's ed, which was a requirement for, I'm sure, all of us to get our licenses, unless we waited till we were like 18 or like you're Clint, you're still driving illegally. So before driver's ed, I learned, my dad had a friend that had a farm out in Mississippi. And so whenever we went out there, my dad would teach me a few things about stuff. And then he would basically just toss me the keys and just let me drive around the property where you probably couldn't hurt anything unless you ran into a cow or something crazy like that. And it was on a automatic. I've tried to drive a standard before, and I could probably grind my way through to, drive a couple of blocks in it, but I just could never. I guess I'm just too uncoordinated to get the clutch, gas, brake, shift, all of it working together in sync. So I'm glad I didn't have to learn to drive on a standard. That's how my wife learned how to drive on a standard tractor.
Wow.
I believe is how the story goes.
Sheesh.
Yes,
That's a country song, I believe, right?
I think so. I think it's a Toby Keith song.
Right.
There needs to be some alcohol
Learn to
involved. We're good.
drive on a standard tractor.
And a
I
real
think that's
Dixie
how
cup.
it
Okay,
goes.
we have a
There you go. So we're gonna
So why
add
can
Joey
Joey
not
sing, but I
singing.
can't?
Yeah, I was about to say. So we're gonna
Because
add
Because I'm
Joey
singing
than you do.
that on purpose.
Anyway, I'll answer next. I don't have a great, interesting story. I learned to drive on an automatic, though. In college, I had a standard the whole time, so I can drive a standard. I remember my first time driving standard was my brother's old beat up truck. It didn't go well. I'm pretty sure I gave a friend of mine a concussion who was sitting in the truck, in the bed of the truck, because I was so bouncy, exactly as Ryan's demonstrating, up and down, hitting our head. But I learned it in my hometown, which I didn't learn in an open field, which was an awesome, or parking lot even. I just drove on the streets. Stupid story. I don't know if you guys remember this. Tom Arnold was in a movie called, I think, The Stupids or something like that. I don't know if you remember this. It was about this family that just was complete idiots. And it's supposed to be comedy. I don't even remember if it was funny. But anyway, I just saw it. Well, we went driving after that, and a motorcycle drives up. And in the scene, the motorcycle puts a bomb on the car. So I made a joke that, oh no, there's a motorcycle behind us. And everyone I watched the movie with, which was my mom and my brother, didn't get it. So I still get razzed to this day that I'm worried about motorcycles driving next to me, which is not at all true. But it was because of that joke, that scene. I was like, oh no. And then no, but yeah, it went over everybody's head. So I'm not really afraid of motorcycles. I mean, if you are, be careful. Don't drive in the middle of the lane. You really do some stupid stuff. But I learned to drive on an automatic, but can drive a standard. And it scares the hell out of me to be on a hill on a standard, still to this day.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
How about you, Ryan?
I'm going to start with the scary part first, and I'll explain why in just a sec. I've told you folks many a time that my mom is fairly neurotic, like she's the Scrabble Nazi and all this kinds of things, right? So my
Scrabble Nazi.
she is. My mom is the one that taught me how to drive. Being the neurotic woman that she is, she's like, stop! Just like every 5 seconds,
yes.
like freaking me out. No, I'm sorry for shouting in the microphone, by the way. It's so little close to me. So let me also add the caveat here. I learned to drive in the Memorial Park, which is actually right across the street from where I live now, because I basically live at my old grandfather's house in an extension. So there's a Memorial Park right across the street from us. You know, there's the typical, I don't know how it is for you guys, by the way, but typically for us out in here in Hawaii, there's loops and trails and everything between all the different parts of the Memorial Park. So that's where I learned to drive. There's no stop signs. There is barely any people. And so, again, my mom, being the neurotic woman that she is, screaming at me to stop in the middle of a Memorial Park. And I did learn on an automatic. I've never driven a standard car. I probably would ruin your transmission if I tried. I got a lot of flack. Sorry, let me also say I got a lot of flack from one of my ex-girlfriends who can drive standard. She's a car girl. And she's like, how the hell can you not drive a standard car? And yeah, I had no comment.
I got to admit, you say your transmission go out. I've had my clutch go out. It went out at Red Rocks Amphitheater here in Colorado. And what sucks is it's all uphill trying to get to the parking lot. So I'm lucky I didn't fall and kill somebody. It was insane. That was one of the scariest moments of my life. Anyway, how about you, Nate?
I learned to drive on automatic. I don't know how to drive standard. I just went to I had one of my church friends. They had his dad was a driving instructor, so I just went to him, and it was really, really easy. There was nothing crazy, no crazy story about driving. For me, it was pretty straightforward. I think for me, my biggest fear was always driving on the highway. Was just merging onto the highway, and that was, to this day, I'm still a little bit nervous about it, but I've gotten better. Been driving for quite a long time now.
Right.
I don't even want to. Yeah.
Well, the bad part is you can't really practice that unless you really want to do it illegally, and you want to, risk your life and everybody else's. Because when I actually got to driver's ed, of course, that was the one thing that I didn't or couldn't practice, and that was nerve-wracking the first time merging onto the interstate in New Orleans traffic.
I have to add this as well, since we're talking about something similar in subject today. Nate, the first thing that I think of when you say the highway thing is that bit from The Simpsons with the Chinese lady driver. Is it The Simpsons or is it American Dad or one of those shows? I forget. She's like,
I think you're thinking of Family Guy.
Okay, sorry. Completely. It's a cartoon. Obviously, I don't watch a lot. But anyway, she's like, I go now. Good luck, everybody. And then
I merged 8 lanes with no turn signal.
Yeah.
Sorry to be racist about it, but she was Chinese.
Well, anyway, have you guys seen Onward and that scene when they're merging onto the highway?
No.
Yeah, that was basically my attempt at trying to merge the first time I did it. Yeah. What about you, Austin? Would you learn to drive on?
And by the way, Austin
6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. He's the youngest, so this is fresh in his mind.
Yeah, since I'm the youngest, my Tesla drives itself, guys. So no, I've never driven a standard before. I just grew up with a bunch of automatic cars and trucks and stuff like that. I started driving when I was young, just kind of the wheel just sitting in my dad's lap and everything.
Oh, nice.
And then growing up, we did have driver's ed where you got the little card to pass, and you didn't even have to do a driver's test. You could just simply go, turn it in, and get your license. You just had to wait, which is the test itself. And so yeah, I grew up in a bunch of back roads where there were barely any cops. I don't ever remember seeing a cop on the back road where I grew up. We lived with our grandparents. And I just always drove around there where there were a lot of curves and speed bumps every now and then. And so that's how I learned. It really wasn't much of a struggle for me to learn how to drive. But Nate, I really relate to you. It's driving on the highway and especially crossing the highway. Mm-hmm. I left the gym yesterday morning and I approached a stop sign for the first time on a road I've never been. And it required you to cross the full highway without a light and stuff like that. Just gives me anxiety. I'm like, no.
You don't know driving anxiety until you have to teach somebody else how to drive.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
I had to do that 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I had to teach my sister how to drive.
Is McGuire a good driver?
Or she was a terrible driver.
How do you know?
When I was
talking with his teacher.
Oh, I thought it was McGuire.
No,
have you ridden with him?
I was saying as he was saying, I had to teach my sister how to drive.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she
Okay.
was a
Sorry.
terrible
So,
driver.
so
Yeah.
Ryan can sympathize. He's a decent driver now, but I mean, when you first start off, I mean, you're talking about starting from scratch, and your only existing knowledge is either through video games, through an arcade simulator, or through just watching observation of other people driving, and you just don't understand. And this was in my school that I teach at, parking lot, where there was like nobody else around, but I was still panicky 90% of the time that we were doing it.
That sounds like the way my mom was with me.
It's
So-
like that Bob's Burgers when
With Tina.
Tina, and then she's like,
I have a feeling that's going to be my daughter, because
Yeah.
my son can usually take criticism well, but when my daughter like faces adversity or something like that, sometimes
Right.
she has a tendency to just kind of shut down.
just shut down.
So it's going to be like Tina.
Can I-
It's exactly what it's going to be.
I have to admit, I'm jealous that you guys in the South there have driver's ed. I think that's something a lot of people could use,
Well-
and we didn't have that here.
Specifically in like Alabama driver's ed, it's like you're going to learn to drive by going to the Shell Mart and letting me go get a Mountain Dew.
It's still something. That's the thing. It's still something. It's better
So I
than
do know
nothing
how
I
to pull
had.
into that Shell Mart very, very well to this day.
Yeah,
Can
right now
navigate
you have to
well.
pay if you want to get your learner's permit at 15 and then your full driver's license at 16. In order to get either of those two things, you have to take a driver's ed course that usually costs between $400 and $500 in order to go get your license. So yeah, it's not cheap to go get your license.
Serious business.
By
Yeah,
the way,
for all-
Manny
Yeah.
did answer this, and he said,
Oh, he did.
Yes, his what makes him nervous. He learned on a stick shift, and he's shifting into gears, making sure the car didn't stall. Was his
Yeah.
and I can totally relate to that. I think I've done that numerous times when somebody was watching, especially.
It's too
Sorry,
much.
I'm gonna make sure-
That's
yeah.
why we just all need Teslas, so it just drives itself.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's a
It's the
blessing.
way.
It's
The way of the future.
Thank you, Manny,
Manny.
for that question. That was a fun one. Our next question comes from Vin, Fugly16, good friend Vin. He was playing Warzone with us last week. So his question is, what show do you guys regret binging during self-quarantine? Or I think in general, any show you regret binging, I think would be a broaden that up a little bit. His show was The Leftovers, and I've never heard of this show, and I will probably not watch it based on this
Yeah.
based on this answer.
I was gonna say you might have taken one for the team on that one.
Yeah.
So I'll
yes, go for it,
I can
Joey.
go first. Yeah, mine's kind of okay. So it was a show that I binged to catch up on, and then watched when it finally started going with a new season week to week. Was Into the Badlands on AMC. So I kind of got tricked. I felt like I got duped because the first season or two of Into the Badlands is really good. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen it, but it's kind of got that samurai movie vibe, like kind of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of deal for the first season or two. Very, very unique premise about kind of the United States is kind of post-apocalyptic, but instead of like the typical post-apocalyptic movie that you would see, it kind of goes back to almost like feudal Japan type of setup. And I won't go too into detail on the show, but I was really irritated because once I binged the really good seasons and got caught up, like the last season or two were just trash, just garbage. It's like they had this general idea of where they wanted to go with the movie and did a really good job of telling a story the first couple of seasons with it. And then when it got time to kind of have a big reveal, like, oh, hey, here's what the secret was, without trying to give anything away. And then it was like, okay, now we've got to play this secret out now in reality. And it just didn't work. So I enjoyed the part I binged, but I did not enjoy the follow-up to it. So it was like the binge hooked me, and then I was just like, okay, this is hot trash. I should have not have wasted my time, or should have stopped at season 2.
Don't you love that? Austin, do you have one?
I do. And I'm sure everybody can relate to this, almost everybody. And if you can't, lucky you. But I immediately knew the answer was going to be Tiger King.
Oh yeah.
I definitely regretted Tiger King, but it kind of hypnotized you in a way where you're like wanting to see what happens next, but then you get done with it and you're like, what did I just watch?
I regret nothing. I will watch it again. I can keep try to convince my wife to watch it again.
Well,
Joe
it's
Exotic.
like a train wreck, right? You just can't turn away.
Right. Yeah. I will not watch it again, Joey. You can have my rewatch if you'd like.
Yeah.
What a nice guy, Sharon. So I'll go next. I gotta admit, my TV watching is very limited. I don't get to watch a lot for various reasons, but so I'm gonna make this more expansive than just the quarantine. Weeds is my answer. Season 1, season 2, even season 3 were great, and then they just kind of quit caring, and it just went downhill for the next 4 seasons. And when you're trying to binge to catch up with the other people, it's disappointing. I'm sure I missed some things, but Weeds was rough. The second half, especially, I still have pain thinking about it. But first 3 seasons are good. I'll leave it at that. Next.
I haven't. Yeah, I started watching that, and I just couldn't get into it. So maybe I won't keep watching it.
Don't.
All right. Anyways, Ryan.
I'm gonna take a page out of Clint's book here. I don't watch a lot of television. We've said this time and time again on the podcast. So I'm gonna go outside of this current quarantine period. And my answer is kind of a little different different reasons as far as regret. I'm gonna say Daredevil on Netflix, and my regret binging it is because I went through the entire first season within the course of I think 2 days. I didn't start watching it immediately when it dropped, and I did not follow up and finish watching everything. So I didn't finish watching Daredevil. I think I saw 2 episodes of Jessica Jones. I didn't watch any of Luke Cage, and I didn't watch anything of the Defenders. And being the big MCU Marvel fan that I am, even though it's not closely tied into MCU, it's a big regret because I didn't dive into it the way that I should have.
Yeah, we could almost save this for another podcast, because I think you could have a whole podcast on just MCU TV shows with Shield and the ones from Netflix. But I love Daredevil, and I've heard rumors that it's supposed to be coming back, and I really hope it is. I've even heard rumors that they're going to incorporate his character into maybe the next Spider-Man movie, that he's going to play Tobey Maguire.
That is Inception, sir.
Peter Parker's lawyer in the next movie. I've heard rumors. I don't know how true those are, but
I don't know how I feel about that though,
interested
because
if they
Charlie Cox has said publicly that if they are going to integrate the Daredevil character into the next movie or into the MCU in any way, it's not his version of Daredevil. He wouldn't
really.
Be the one
I
playing
haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I read the contrary. I thought he was interested in bringing the character.
No, he's definitely
to
interested, but from what he's heard so far, and he's said this
I see
publicly,
what you're
right?
saying.
So I trust what he's saying is that he's
things change. So
I'm crossing my
we can
fingers,
only
my
hope.
toes, and then some. Yeah, because I like his take on the character. It's a good version of Daredevil, much better than the trash that we saw in the movies before.
That and Punisher were my 2 favorite ones. I love Punisher too.
Yeah.
Keeping in line with the MCU Netflix series of shows that, for me, that I regret watching was definitely Jessica Jones season 2 and The Defenders. Both of those were I could not. It was such a waste of time. Really? I didn't actually finish Jessica Jones season 2. It got so bad for me that I just couldn't finish it.
I couldn't get into Jessica Jones at all. And
the first season I enjoyed. I thought it was something. It was pretty different, and I enjoyed it. But season 2 was just it was awful. I would absolutely recommend you not watch that. And Defenders too. I thought Defenders was going to be good because you have
Sigourney Weaver was in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing when they brought her out at
Supercast.
SDCC and they did the announcement. I almost wait. No, it wasn't SDCC. It was NYCC, I think. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So I really did enjoy the Defenders. It sucks that it's moving away from Netflix, but hopefully they can kind of reboot the ones that I did enjoy and keep it going. Like Punisher I really loved the Punisher.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Love Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I hope they can keep those going. I liked Luke Cage. I think the way that Luke Cage ended was also not my favorite, the way the series ended. But I mean, like we said, we can do a whole nother show on that. We'll wrap that up.
Save it for another podcast.
Yeah. Save it for another podcast.
Let's move on to the subject of today.
Yes. So
anyway, first of all, thank you, Vin, for the question, today. By the way.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Vin. No, just kidding. Yes, thank you.
Thanks for those bad memories, Vin.
Yeah,
thanks for the email, Vin.
Bringing up these repressed
Don't forget about the email.
Did he email us?
No,
sent
not
us an email?
recently.
When did he email us?
But he was one of the first to email.
Oh,
us.
yeah, he emailed us probably like 3 months ago.
We
and I
have
just ignored
thanked
it.
both of the people that have emailed us. I think so. I think
There's
we're
three.
good.
Ed, you
Covered
got to
our
count
bases.
Ed's.
Yeah.
Ed's
Yeah, there's
been.
3. Ed emailed us as well. Anyways, today we have Austin on. We wanted to talk to Austin today about some of his favorite TV shows that were that had a very. I mean, I honestly Wikipediaing this person. I didn't know he was involved in so many shows. So a lot of the shows that we really enjoy, like The Simpsons, a few seasons of The Simpsons he was on. He was a huge part of The Office. He was on King of the Hill. He did Parks and Rec. He also did recent shows like Upload and Space Force. So we're talking about Greg Daniels. He's a writer. He's a producer. He's a director. He's kind of touched on some of my favorite shows of all time that I've seen. And he's kind of had a big part in a lot of that. So we wanted to bring Austin on today because we know he's a big Office fan, number 1 Office fan. Joey's number 2. So
Number two.
it's kind of cool.
Number 2.
Kind of cool to have the number 1 and 2 Office fans.
I've
on the
decided
podcast.
on this episode live right here, right now, to split it with Joey. So we are 0.5 Office.
There we go.
There you go.
No, I like Joey being a number 2. Let's keep it like that.
Is that what it is?
Okay. All right. If you say so.
So we just wanted to kind of just dive into some of the stuff that he's worked on, some of our favorite episodes of things that on the shows that he's done, and just kind of just talk about those shows because we all know. I'm pretty sure everyone out there would know something that he's worked on, and you wouldn't really know until you Googled him because he's not super credited as he's not a voice or anything. He's just he's part of it and he helped create some of these amazing things.
Yeah, he's not like Seth MacFarlane.
So yeah. But doing some research on it and seeing some of the Simpsons episodes he's done, he was on the show from season 5 to 9. So this was just after Conan left, and reading about it, he was kind of sad that he was joining The Simpsons that time because he thought that Conan was like the heyday for The Simpsons. Like he didn't think he could add anything more to what Conan already did for The Simpsons. But in my opinion, seasons 5 to 9 are probably some of the absolute greatest Simpsons episodes I've ever seen.
Agreed.
So
100%.
we've got like some of the episodes that he's part of. Radioactive Man is like easily like top 3 episodes of
The goggles do
series
nothing.
There's so many quotable moments for that one. He's done Lisa on Ice, which is shout out hockey. I miss hockey. I miss
Shout out
sports,
MC.
Can I have my
Lisa-
baby teeth back?
See, Clint knows what I'm talking about. He did Itchy and Scratchy Land. That is still there's when I say it's like some of my top 3 episodes. There's really like top 30 episodes of The Simpsons, and they're all like number 1.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
can
there's like
watch these over and over
30,000 episodes, so pick the top
It's true.
30 is not that big of a deal.
But you're
That's
right.
true.
Season 5 through season 9 is. I mean, The Simpsons started out kind of like Bob's Burgers is today, the sense that it was like more realistic, but then they really started to expand the benefits of animation, like seasons 5 through 9, to be silly but still relatable. So I 100% agree. 5 through 9 are some of the best seasons there ever were.
Right. And if you're a Funko Pop collector, you would know Homer in the Moo Moo. We've got that Funko
yeah.
Pop. He was the producer on that episode. So, it all ties back to Funko at some point. So he's done a lot of the Treehouse of Horrors. There's a lot of Treehouse of Horror Pops. He's done a lot of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. I think the most iconic Treehouse of Horror episode was the one he did, the first one where it was when Homer goes into 3D. And at that time, that was like kind of it was like, whoa, this is back then it was like the early 90s, mid 90s, and we were just like, whoa, computer generated graphics, and it was wild. And seeing that one, I remember seeing that for the first time, I was just blown away that this is really cool. Seeing this from an animation to a 3D animation is something really different, and it was just a crazy, wonderful concept. And yeah, he was a part of that episode. So he's done a lot.
I'm looking in here. I didn't realize he was a writer for Saturday Night Live before that.
Yeah.
For quite a few episodes.
Yeah, 51 episodes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Seinfeld on there. Wow.
It's crazy how he made that switch, which I mean, I know a lot of writers made that switch from, animation comedies to, live action comedies. But, you're talking about going from Simpsons to King of the Hill, and then, The Office, which obviously probably put him on most people's radar as far as The Office is, concerned. But King of the Hill, I did not personally, when we started talking about the idea of doing a Greg Daniels episode, I didn't realize he was that involved with King of the Hill. I think pretty much the entire series, from what I could tell, he was involved with. And
IMDb, 258 episodes he was part of.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know
That's
Clint's
crazy.
our resident King of the Hill, fan. But I mean, I watched my fair share. It's kind of like The Simpsons. Like, I started watching it, religiously at the beginning, and then kind of fell out, as the seasons progressed. Like a lot of shows, they kind of start running out of original ideas and stuff, so you kind of lose interest sometimes. But I enjoyed King of the Hill, what I did watch. Very good writing, very good comic appeal to it. So I definitely see that jump from King of the Hill to The Office as far as just the writing skills and what he brought to the table.
So Austin,
No.
what's your favorite Office episode?
Oh my goodness!
That's a hard
Put you on the
question.
Said about
Sure,
the
right?
Simpsons, you have a top 30, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel ashamed for not knowing the exact title of the episode right now because I'm on the spot. But
We don't know him either, though. So you're not. You can make something up, and
you could just make something up. We'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah,
well,
that sounds right.
the CPR fire alarm episode is a classic. I mean,
I think it's called
you-
CPR training, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes, I think
is
it's
that-
CPR training.
That's season 1.
I
I
don't think
believe
so.
so.
Season 1 was the really short season where they only had gotten a few episodes listed or green lit, however you say it.
right. I love all the Dundies episodes. I love the beach games episode where Andy's in that big
Yes.
sumo
Floating away.
suit floating. Oh man, there's just too many that are my favorite. The finale, of course, is amazing. I honestly think it couldn't have been any better and have wrapped up the series any better, other than wanting them to come back again to make another season. But yes,
So Austin, you're gonna. I mean, you might hang up after this. I'm not an Office fan.
well, I've
Oh,
never
God,
seen.
what is the
Whoa.
matter with you?
Well,
I've never
I can
seen-
I can actually explain it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
I can
good luck.
explain why I'm not an Office fan. Because I work in the office. You know how many times the company I work for gets mentioned in the office? Like every other episode. Okay.
Ah, that's right.
So, they talk about paperweight. I know what the hell they're talking about. They talk
Right.
about individual vendors. I know what the hell they're talking
That
about.
should make it more
I was-
interesting to you.
I was about
because
to
it makes
say-
me think about work. It makes me remember, oh shit, I got to do this when I go into the office. Or something like
I
that.
worked in a
It
call
did
center
work
for
for-
like 7 years, and I loved watching. There was a call center TV show that did not last very long, and I loved watching that show because I was like, I can relate to that, and made it funnier to me.
I
But
guess.
apparently-
I mean, it's
Well,
not,
if it's somebody like you and you don't actually work, you probably don't have a lot of stuff to relate to it. That's probably why it's not funny.
fair enough. But anyway, now I want you to know, as I say that, I have a number of the seasons I've seen on DVD. So it's not like I didn't watch it. I think it just hit too close to home because I mean, I
Right.
know a Dwight, I know a Michael Scott, I know a Creed. Like, I know these people.
Nate is about to unfollow me because I've never seen a single Simpsons episode. in full.
Ooh.
So
That's because of your age, though. If you were younger or older, you
it's
might
kind of an
have.
age thing. I would
Yeah,
feel like.
that one we can excuse you for.
Well, while
but-
we're throwing poo at
Yeah.
everybody, I've never watched an episode of The Office, so
oh,
Really?
no.
Watch The Office. What is the matter with you people? How can you
I
not
don't watch a
watched
lot
an
of
episode of
TV.
The Office?
I don't.
Okay,
Oh,
wow.
so-
So you
But you've
haven't
seen
seen
every
the Law and
episode
Order
last
The
3 years.
Office
That's
episode
different.
crossover?
That's different. I started watching Law and Order
How?
SVU
How is
like
that different?
11 years ago. I never got
Right.
into watching The Office, but to Joey's point, we're talking Greg Daniels today, so he made the suggestion to the three of us: make sure that we catch at least one episode of Upload. So yesterday morning, I turned it on. I had every intention of just watching 2 episodes. I binged the entire first season. Great, great, great show. I know we're gonna get more into it later, but yeah. So that said, I have a good feeling if I do watch The Office, I'll probably binge it straight through.
Well, it's certainly one of those things where you have to tell people, or it's certainly a case where they're like, I couldn't get past the first season type of deal, just because they were kind of introducing everybody.
Mhm.
They really didn't pick up on their own like humor, but they've gotten so much more comfortable. And what's so cool about The Office, I guess I'm doing a quick plug. I wish I could get paid for this, but the Office Ladies podcast that just came out
Oh,
is
yeah.
Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey, who plays Pam and Angela in the show. And they go by episode to describe like the behind the scenes and how each episode was filmed. And they have special guests on. They've had John Krasinski on, Rainn Wilson already. But yeah,
So every episode of the podcast is an episode of The Office.
yes.
Yes, they're doing them in order too.
So I mean, they got material. Is what you're saying?
Oh, they do.
Right. 200
Office
plus
ran, what,
episodes.
9
A big
seasons?
selling
10
point for me
seasons?
too is
9
obviously
seasons.
there's all of you that are mentioning it, but I know Sully is also a big fan. He talks it up. He's talked about that podcast in specific. So, being in the fact that we are also podcasters and we have friends that listen to us and may take our thoughts on things as advice on checking something out or even like endorsing something per se. The fact that all of you talk so highly of it makes it all that much more appealing to somebody like me that's never watched it. So, I probably would end up watching it and enjoying it just based upon all of that.
So Brian, one note when you do watch it, and anybody else who hasn't watched it is listening. They mentioned it. The first season's short. It's also just it's not as good. They were introducing characters, they were working out kinks, but they kind of get to the second season and beyond that, and they find their stride pretty easily, I think. So you got to give it a chance if you're going to do that.
I
And
would.
it's a very
Yeah, I
dry
definitely would.
humor focused show.
Very dry.
I like
Very
dry humor.
Yeah,
I like
it. I'm not saying it doesn't have its moments. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying it's just not the big fan as everybody else is. That's what I'm trying to get across.
And it's kind of like Community, where it does have some down seasons, like especially when Michael leaves, and I think the show itself is trying to find its identity again, because even though characters like Jim and Dwight, those two specifically, also are huge parts of that show, and of course the Jim Pam relationship. When they lost Michael, I don't know if they even realized how much of that show's identity was going to change. They brought Will Ferrell on at first, which I guess they just thought, oh, we're going to bring on another good comedian, and that'll fix the problem, the hole that's left by Carell leaving, and it was awful. I think the James Spader edition and
it was Robert California. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lizard King.
I'm the Lizard King.
Yes. And I actually enjoyed the dryness of Idris Elba. Like, I enjoy him as an actor. And I enjoyed his take on just being, the, very straight-laced type of boss that was
He does
not
so
joking
good
around.
at making you hate him. He does
Yes.
so good.
It was like Michael awkward too, but like a different version of that. So it was very awkward, some of the stuff that he would do when he would talk to Jim about stuff or talk to Dwight about stuff, but they did it well with him. I think they did well with those two parts of it. And then Nellie at first got on my last nerve as a character that was brought in to kind of support things, but eventually she kind of grew on me, and I don't know if that was on purpose, that they kind of changed her character and her story arc based on maybe negative feedback that they were getting from her first season on there, but I eventually enjoyed her and her time on there. But yeah, it was definitely different, once he left off the show. Kind of the same way with Community, once Dan Harmon left, and then Chevy Chase left, and then Donald Glover left, just changes the dynamic of the show.
Glover. Although it's funny you talk about that, I'm thinking of Eric Foreman from that 70s show when they tried to keep that going after Topher Grace left, and it just didn't work. So my question to you guys is, what if somebody else had left? If Michael Scott / Steve Carell was stuck around, somebody, and this could be a major cast member like Jim or Dwight, or even a minor character in the sense of like Kevin, Oscar, etc., would have been the same. Would it? Go ahead.
If you're talking minor characters, I don't think you miss a beat hardly. I mean, I think if Kevin or Creed or Stanley or something like that is gone, I think obviously they bring something to the show, not to take anything away from them or their performance, but I don't think it's nearly impactful. I would think you would have to move up to somebody like Dwight or Jim and say, okay, they're off the show now. How much of a hit does it take? I think it takes a sizable hit. I just don't know if it takes the same hit as Michael leaving it. And Austin may feel differently about it. I don't know, but that's just how I feel.
Right, and it definitely makes you think about the fact of how many like big stars auditioned for the role of Dwight and Michael. I heard that Seth Rogen actually auditioned for the role of Dwight Schrute, and I could not imagine a Seth Rogen Dwight Schrute.
He would have done okay, but we would have missed out on the brilliance of Rainn Wilson playing Dwight.
Yeah. But what I agree with Joey. It wouldn't affect as much as if a minor character like Meredith or Kevin or Creed, but certainly they make some episodes for me, to be honest with you.
Sure. Oh, yeah, totally. Well, that's
their side comments. Yeah, definitely. But when Joey was talking about Michael, I certainly believe he is like the heart of what The Office is. And so that's why it took him a little bit to get back on their feet after he did have to leave.
Well, and they didn't last much longer after that anyway, right? I mean, it was like
actually, no, it was more than that. I'll have to Google it. But yeah, it was a bit more after that. But he like Austin said is the heart and soul of that particular show. So it was definitely a big change to the dynamic of the show itself whenever he left, because it just changes everything, changes the dynamic of the premise of the show, so to speak, when he leaves. I don't know how the UK version played out, because I tried to start watching it and I just could not get into it. But
I was going to ask you that. Austin, have you watched the UK version?
I have not. I have tried, and I could not get into it.
Because it actually has some big stars in it too, like Martin Freeman's in it, and I think Martin Freeman plays like the Jim role. I don't remember their names, and then of course the main guy whose name I'm completely blanking on right now, but the guy who did the Golden Globes and all that jazz.
Ricky Gervais.
Thank you. Yes, Ricky Gervais is Jim, or is Michael Scott essentially. So I was curious. So did Greg have anything to do with that, or is he just with the English adaptation?
Just the English adaptation. He doesn't have anything. Okay. Yeah. And you are right, Clint. He was gone for 2 seasons. So it was the last 2 seasons.
I was just guessing.
I thought it was more like 3 or 4, but you were right. It was 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, like you said, though, you lose the pivotal point. You can't keep going. In fact, I'm surprised they were able to get a whole nother 2 seasons out of it, because you're right. Michael Scott was a huge character in the show from what I've seen. I mean, everything. And so anyway.
And it's crazy. I was talking about I didn't realize he was part of King of the Hill. I didn't realize he was part of Parks and Rec, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
That's another show that I kind of started watching and didn't finish. I tried to re-binge it again, and something happened and I didn't finish. But that's on McGuire and I's list. This after we finish My Name is Earl. Our next up is to binge Parks and Rec, because
How far are you on My Name is Earl?
I think we are in season 3. We just got to the part where he's in jail, where he went to jail.
So you just finished season 2? Okay.
Yes.
I love the first 2 seasons are wonderful of that show. That's all I'll say.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I actually enjoyed Parks and Rec more than I did The Office.
I think a lot of people did.
I mean, I do. Like you guys, a lot of you guys, like you haven't watched a lot of The Office. I waited a very long time to watch The Office. Like, I didn't watch it until I think last year was when I
didn't wait as long as me.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'm finally gonna give in after everyone's talking about it. I'm gonna watch it, and I really liked it. But for me, Parks and Rec was just incredible from beginning to end. Like there was no, I thought, in my opinion, Parks and Rec is like one of the most complete TV series from beginning to end that I've ever seen. And
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
And unlike The Office, where I think Steve Carell carried that show a lot of times with supporting cast, kind of that second level would probably be Jim and Dwight. With Parks and Rec, for the seasons that I did see, not that they're all on the even playing field, but you have so many characters that bring such a dynamic to that show, from, Ron to Andy, of course, to Leslie Knope. I mean, everybody.
Jerry.
You could,
Jerry. He just had
oh, shut up, Jerry.
He just get cracked on all the time, and it was just like. But when he was on the screen, and when there was a bit of comedy that was attributed to him, he delivers, and it's just written so well in there that like you remember every performance, regardless of how much screen time any of these actors got.
And I don't mean to like go all like college literature here, but the town of Pawnee was a character itself. Like
Oh,
that,
yes.
that sounds
Great. 100%
like
agree.
how much of an airhead the town was in general.
Yeah.
It pissed you off every time you watched it, but you loved it. And it
Right.
Well,
was
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And like what Austin's talking about, I think when you have a show that the premise is based on, city government, I think the city itself, like you said, does take on that. And I think we're used to probably seeing that in movies and TV shows with the bigger cities, whether it's New York or Los Angeles or Miami or something like that, where that city's always kind of been in the back of our minds and we kind of understand the basic culture of it and the characteristics of it. Pawnee, like who knows anything about Pawnee, Indiana, and it's like it kind of brought that to life for us. Scranton becomes on our radar because of The Office, but I don't think it's got that same appeal as the town itself, like what Austin was talking about with Parks and Rec.
When you see like these reoccurring characters who complain about like what's going on in the park, there is episodes built around literally a townsperson who wants the book Twilight in the time capsule for Pawnee, and he like handcuffs himself to Leslie's chair, and it's all about him the entire episode. And you recognize him because you've seen him in many episodes complaining before. So they can bring in a townsperson or a citizen of Pawnee and like make them the central character as well because they built it up so well.
Agreed. I will say I thought that show was a little harder to get into at the first, just like The Office was. Like you got to get past season 1, and then it starts getting better. Again, kind of the same premise.
Talk about where the pit's like the driving force of like the entire first season.
They start throwing trash down there. Oh my God.
And then Andy eventually starts living in the pit.
He does. Living in the pit. Yeah.
Back when Chris Pratt was fat, you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah. It was great when when he became Star-Lord and he was still working on the show, and he was just like he came back after an episode and he was like super cut, and he was like, oh, what happened? He's like, oh, I just stopped drinking beer. And and it was just like it fit perfectly because like the Andy Dwyer character is just he's hilarious and he's just
so unpredictable.
And just that little quip was just absolutely perfect and it just fit the character perfectly. So
it would be a disservice not to mention little Sebastian, rest in peace.
Did you guys watch the quarantine episode?
I would not.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they did just a charity episode where they all jumped on a Zoom call. It was basically they were in character and they were doing a phone chain of just checking in with everybody. And it was really fun. They did a good job of putting everybody on and giving everybody a little bit of time to relive those characters and stuff. So if you haven't watched it, I definitely encourage you to watch that because it was a lot of fun.
Nice. I need to watch that and the community table read.
Yes, I gotta watch that. One's on YouTube, I believe. Joe McHale and Ken Jeong have a podcast as well, The Darkest Timeline. So they started a podcast recently. So definitely check that out. It's great for all you community fans out there. Nice. But moving on to something else that Greg Daniels did recently, Upload.
Yeah, now
Ryan was raving up with us earlier. And I will agree with Ryan. I'll give Ryan the mic here in a sec. And I loved Upload. I really enjoyed season 1. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Upload?
5 stars. And I say that if you guys have seen the show, I mean, obviously it deals with like digital afterlife. So without giving too much away, I'm trying to think how I can explain this. Obviously, so in the trailer, it shows that he is coming to the end of his life per se, and his digital consciousness is uploaded digitally into like a computer where you can live on. And so part of this is like in today's day and world, you give like say 5-star review on Yelp. So he's able to do those types of things. And there is a GIF that I threw up on Twitter. So definitely go take a look at it. And as my hand moves across the screen from left to right, I am giving it 5 stars. I don't know really how to describe the show in good detail without giving a lot of the plot away. Do yourself a huge service though. I mean, in today's world, because of everything that's going on with COVID and like technology evolving and all of that, the show is set in 2032. So we'll be generous and we'll say 15 years from now, we'll think about how technology has evolved to that point. There's self-driving cars in this. There's a plethora of technology that would be awesome if we can get to. But I
think
again, I don't know how to describe this show without giving too much away. It's hard.
I wouldn't worry about it. I would just describe it. So my whole take on Upload after watching it, I watched it almost when it first came up, because I was like, oh, it's a Greg Daniels show. I want to check this out. And I don't want to take anything away from the show, because I do think it was a good show. But my problem, and I think I talked to Nate about this maybe when it first came out, because I think he had seen it at that point too, is they feel like they were searching for their identity as a show almost. Like, to me, the dramatic parts of the show, because to me it's very much a comedy and a drama mixed together.
Agreed.
It's not just like a straight comedy like The Office was or Parks and Rec. There's very well written dramatic parts, very well written dialogue between characters about very meaningful topics, love, afterlife, friendship, things like that. Those parts were done exceptionally well. Like, I would give, like what Ryan was saying, 5 stars to the dramatic part of the show. To me, a lot of the comedy felt flat. It was almost like they focused so much on the dramatic writing that the comedy kind of took a back seat for them. And I don't know, it may be the exact opposite. Maybe they set out to be a comedy and then just realized they had some good dramatic scenes that they could write in. But I think if they don't do a better job next season of balancing out the dramatic with the comedy, I think they are going to find themselves losing fans, possibly. And I think they need to almost pick one. Like, is it going to be a comedy or is it going to be a drama? Because I think as a drama, it worked really well. As a comedy, not so much.
I totally agree. I think that sense of balance is really what they need to find, but I did enjoy it. And Ryan, you were talking earlier about just trying to describe it in a way that really doesn't give anything away. I really got Good Place vibes and I got Black Mirror vibes. So I would really describe it as The Good Place meets Black Mirror, just because of the technology and the afterlife. It was very interesting how they used some of that, and there are so many topics they cover regarding the afterlife and communicating with the people, back on Earth as well. There's so many topics where you have to find that sense of drama and comedy, like Joey was talking about.
And Joey, to your point about maybe the show trying to find its place per se, don't you think that kind of ties in with the whole feel of the show itself, with Nathan and how he's trying to kind of find a place for himself after the things that have happened?
I mean, I think you can make that connection now personally, but I don't think that that's where they're going. Like, I don't think that they intentionally set up to make, let's find our identity this first season. Are we a comedy or a drama?
That's fair.
But yeah, I see the after connection that you're making, and that's definitely relevant to it. But here's my thing. Like, if I'm going to compare it to Space Force, because obviously that's the other one. It just premiered here this past weekend on Netflix. I'm about halfway through the 10 episodes, and I'm really disappointed in it because of the potential. I think they did a much better job with Upload with a limited cast. I mean, you don't have a lot of big names with Upload. Robbie Amell is probably the biggest name on that show. But kudos to, and I don't know her name, I can look it up here in a second, but the actress that plays his real life assistant in the VR world, I guess is the way to describe her.
Andy Allo.
Oh, is that the character? The actress's name?
Okay, yes,
Nora, I think.
Right?
Yes, very great job on her part. Love the relationship between them two. But then if you look at Space Force and you've got Steve Carell, you've got John Malkovich, you've got Jimmy Yang. Is that the character's name?
Jin Yang.
And you've got a plethora of other seasoned actors and actresses on that show, and it's like, what did they do with it? Like, I chuckled a few times over the first 6 episodes that I've seen, but it's almost like they tried to make Office in not in space, because it doesn't actually take place in space, but it's like they tried to make The Office and like, we're gonna do this joke that we're making fun of Donald Trump because he said he's gonna have a space force. And now we're going to take what could have probably been a funny, the Funny or Die deal that Will Ferrell had for a long time. It almost feels like it was just that, or a Saturday Night Live skit that they tried to make into a 10-episode season of Netflix is really what this felt like.
So I agree with you and disagree with you. I've actually gotten to see this one. I watched 3 episodes last night, and I definitely got this Office feel with Steve Carell's character of being this boss, who kind of he knows his stuff, but he gives himself in trouble, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I was actually kind of impressed that they actually made it like kind of relatable, to be honest, because everything. I'm 3 episodes into the 10, so there's stuff I haven't seen yet. But I really like how they actually made it relatable in the sense that they're answering real questions about the Space Force and justifying it in their view.
Did you make it to the episode where he testifies before the budget committee? And I think, and I don't know if that's what you were referring to, but I think that's a perfect example of where, yes, it's kind of political, where they poke fun at the fact that we need a Space Force. But at the same time, a lot of these topics that come up that are sometimes controversial about what we spend money on, like talking about what Clint and I are talking about for those that haven't seen it, they talk about an orange and how much it costs, like $10,000 to ship this orange up to the International Space Station so this astronaut could have an orange. And I won't go into too many details about it because, again, I don't want to spoil it for people because it's a very good scene. It's probably one of the best ones that I've seen so far. But they did a good job of balancing, like Clint says, and explaining the point of it, but then also making a joke later on talking about like ostrich leather covered seats in Air Force planes and stuff, So they still kept it funny at the same time. But like Clint says, they rationalized probably some of these things that we have a tendency to just see one side of, depending on what our political views are.
But still make fun of the fact that we have a Space Force.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So Joey, let me ask you this. Do you think maybe you have a little bit higher expectation for Space Force given the cast that they have? Because, going back to Upload, I can't speak to Space Force, but with Upload, there's relatively unknowns, whereas with Space Force, you have 3 pretty, what I would call heavy hitter actors in it.
Yeah. I think it would be like, and I understand perfectly where you're coming from. And yes, I did have high expectations because of the cast that they had made. But it would be like once we got to the first Avengers movie and everybody was brought together and you had this great cast of characters, not the actors, but a cast of characters.
Thank you for making it relatable to me. Thank you.
Down. Yes. Yes. I don't know your personal feelings, and you may have said them before, and I don't remember on Ultron how it was as far as one of the Avengers movies. But it would be like because to me, Ultron is probably my least favorite of the team up movies. And it would be like if that was the first one. It was like you had all this expectation and all this, building up, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is it. This is what we
without deviating too much from today's
and
conversation. Yeah, without deviating too much from today's conversation, I agree that for all the Avengers films, that Age of Ultron was probably ranked the lowest, and I did have higher expectations because of the fact that James Spader was involved in it. So it did fall a little subpar for me. I'm not saying it was a bad film by any means, but I guess I was expecting a little bit more from James Spader as a character, and I just didn't get the depth that I was hoping for. But it's still a good movie.
Well,
go ahead, Austin.
Talking about Space Force, John Malkovich really stood out to me in this movie.
Yes, I would disagree with that one bit.
It wasn't about Steve Carell to me really at all each episode. It was about trying to figure out who John Malkovich's character was, which is what his character was. He is insane. But I really agree with Joey. I think I went into it with false expectations regarding just Greg Daniels, regarding Steve Carell, that it was going to be related a lot to the humor of The Office and Parks and Rec, maybe.
Yeah.
But I do see how a lot of that is updated or outdated jokes, touchy subjects, stuff you really can't talk about in The Office and Parks and Rec versus today's subjects that are picked on in some sorts.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Joey. No, after you.
Well, I was just going to say, I kind of made the reference that it felt like an SNL sketch that was stretched out too far. And I don't know if y'all picked up on this, Austin or Clinton. I don't know if Nate saw any of Space Force yet. I don't think he did.
No, not yet. I'm kind of hesitant just because, but
this isn't helping.
It's almost like that first episode was written either apart from maybe the writers that did the rest, or maybe a very long time away from the other 9 episodes.
Yeah.
Because when Austin was talking about the John Malkovich character, it's almost like his character changed from that first episode to the rest of them. Because in the first episode, he seems like he's just going to be some kind of annoying character that's going to get on Steve Carell's nerves, like the way he just invited himself into his office and the way he was making decisions on Steve Carell's character's behalf. Like,
hired him.
oh, I'm the guy in charge, you know? But then after that, it became more of a better buddy relationship between the two of them. Like, they still did stuff to get on each other's nerves, but it was more symbiotic, and it felt like his character was written differently in the subsequent episodes after episode 1. And I didn't know if I was just the only one picking up on that, or if y'all kind of picked up on those same vibes, especially with his character in particular.
I think that's legit. I mean, it's a pilot. The pilots are always like that. You know what I mean? They always do the pilot episode.
I know how Amazon.
Yeah.
I know how Amazon does theirs. They definitely do the whole traditional. Here's one episode now. You know, show us what you got. And I didn't know if Netflix did that same thing, or if they just, hey, you've got an idea. Well, you've got Steve Carell carrying it. You get 10 episodes, and then we'll see after that. I don't know. Personally.
I don't either, but it feels that way to me. So I know we need to kind of get this wrapped up, but I will ask you guys. So Joey and Austin. As I mentioned, Parks and Rec and The Office took a season to really get into. Do you see that being the case for Space Force?
I hope so.
I can see this thing being a wrap, because unless they replace some of these people, because Steve Carell, John Malkovich, those are 2 big name people that I don't know if they'll come back. I mean, if you look on IMDb, the show itself, I should say, it's got a 6.9 rating on IMDb right now. And that does not, to me, bode well for Netflix wanting to pick up a second season.
But it did just come out this Friday, correct?
Right.
It's been dropping since it came out. The rating has.
Understood. I mean, it's okay. All right.
Well, what I was going to say about that is there's a lot of loose ends in the show that aren't cliffhangers. Like, needless to say, like, there are certain plot points in the season that you think is leading up to something. And then all of a sudden, like, there's a relationship between 2 characters that is forming, and you see it form throughout the episodes, and it's like they almost just forget it in the finale, not to leave you guessing what happens exactly. But
interesting.
I'll talk to y'all about it after.
All right. Well, no, it's interesting. Okay. Interesting. Well, I liked what I've seen, so I want to see more.
It's got 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of rough. I mean, for me, like, I mean, we could probably spend a whole episode talking about critic ratings and stuff like that, and that really doesn't really bother me that it's 39%. But it does definitely, when you see that low number, it definitely puts something in your mind, right?
Yeah.
It does make you think about it. So that's kind of interesting to me.
Before we move on to
the
game,
I still may check it out.
Sorry.
So we'll see.
I'll let you finish your thought, Nate.
No, go ahead. What's up?
I was going to say, before we move on to the game, since we've kind of been like talking down a little bit about the shows here, what I would recommend that people think about in terms of maybe watching any of these shows is, especially with upload, since it's really fresh in my mind, being that I just binged the entire thing yesterday, one of the core factors behind it is maintaining a good relationship with people without being physically close to them. And I feel that it's really important to hit home on that right now, because like the 5 of us, for example, that are talking today, we're not anywhere close in proximity to each other globally, but yet we still maintain a close friendship with one another. So if there's anything to take away from it, especially with today's day and age, really that hit home for me a lot. And I would highly recommend you guys watch the show just for that sole reason alone, to maintain those positive relationships with your friends and your family.
Makes sense.
Also, Wild Horse, Colorado is not real. Just want to put that out there.
Is that where Space Force is?
That's where the whole Space Force.
Wild
They
Horse.
talk about
the base is.
Yeah. They talk about NORAD, which is real, but it's not in Wild Horse, Colorado. In fact, if there was, I might want to go live there. Anyway, all right. I think that ties a good bow on everything. So, unless anybody else has anything to share,
No.
then what time is it?
Don't think so. Yeah.
It's game time.
All right.
And silence. All right, Jordan, explain the game today.
So this week's game is called Whose Line Is It Anyway? where the points are made up and none of y'all matter. No, I don't think that's the way that goes. So I'm going to give you a quote from one of Greg Daniels' shows that we've talked about. You'll have to buzz in and tell me which show it's from. If you get it right, you get 10 points, and then you also get to answer 2 follow-up questions, which have to be answered in succession. So if you can name the show, you then get a chance for another 10 points to name the character that said it, and then for a possible 30 points total for that round, you can name the actor or actress who played that character. Once someone buzzes in, that question and subsequent questions are open to only them. If they get it wrong, the round is over. You can't come in and steal a second or third question. There's 10 rounds total. You will lose 10 points if you get the initial question wrong. After that, there are no penalties for guessing the second and third question incorrectly on the name of the character or the actor or actress. However, you must answer the previous question in order to move on to the follow-up question. Okay? Any questions? All right.
Not yet.
Here we go. So, the first quote. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
I have a guess, but I'm not going to do it. I don't want to lose points to begin with.
Okay, Austin has buzzed in first. Go ahead, Austin.
Good job.
Oh, watch me make a fool of myself. Oh, my goodness.
So start with the show.
This is from The Office.
That is correct. Can you name the character that said it?
The character is Michael Scott.
That is correct. And can you name the actor that plays Michael Scott?
Steve Carell.
Steve
Nice.
Carell. Very good. A 30-point sweep for Austin.
See, I was
There you
thinking
go.
it was
It's
Andy
over.
Dwyer for some reason.
Well, see, I had to I always second guess myself. So I'm like, oh, no.
Well, apparently you shouldn't.
Oh, and there are a couple of questions that are geared just towards Clint, like maybe this next quote. Why would anyone smoke weed when they could just mow a lawn?
That's something.
Oh,
Clint's
I do
mom
know
said
that
to
one.
me.
I do know that one, actually.
Clint has buzzed in.
That is from King of the Hill.
That's correct.
That is Hank Hill.
Correct.
Is it Mike Judge is the voice?
Mike Judge
Yes.
is the
There you go.
voice actor for Hank Hill. Very good.
You be whacking in your
Like
tool
Jonah
shed,
Hill.
Clint?
Next one.
That boy
This-
ain't right.
This one may be for Ryan. So that's why everything here tastes like kettle corn.
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh,
Nate has buzzed in.
That is definitely from Upload.
That is from Upload. Can you name the
Oh,
character
that's
who
right.
said it?
Oh,
crap.
um,
Watching you guys both struggle at the same time humors me.
no, I'm drawing a blank on who said it. I have an idea of who said it, but I don't remember the character name. Or
Well, you
the
might as well
actor.
guess. You don't lose
Yeah,
points.
you can
for saying
guess
it.
without penalty, or can you just not remember the name?
I just straight up can't remember the name of the character.
Ryan, do you remember which character it is?
Mr. Brown.
Yes, it is Nathan Brown, who's played by
Robbie right now.
Yeah, there
Robbie
you go.
Amell. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Wow.
But you only
Tag
get
team.
10 points because you only
Yeah.
got one. All right. Round number 4. Boy, have you lost your mind because I'll help you find it.
Wow. Austin all over that.
Austin's all over this one.
That is The Office.
Correct?
That is Stanley Hudson.
Correct?
Leslie. Oh my goodness, the last name.
It's good. I'll give it to you. It's Leslie David Baker.
Now, most of those guys, their characters are the same as their actual names, right? Like
There's
Angela.
Creed Bratton is Creed Bratton.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few. Angela's the same name, but I think there's 3 or 4 that are the same name, but everybody else actually has different names.
Interesting.
Oscar is the same. Oscar is Oscar Nunez.
Is
the last
Meredith?
name that's different.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
might be ruining the game.
I'm trying to think of her.
That's Kate Flannery. That's Kate
Yeah,
Flannery.
so that one's not the same. All right, round 5. I'm a simple man. I like pretty, dark-haired women and breakfast food. Clint,
that's from Parks and Rec.
correct?
That's Ron Swanson,
Correct.
played by Nick Offerman.
Very good. Okay, so after 5 rounds, Austin and Clint are both. Who's got the loud drink, by the way?
That was me. Sorry, I'll mute.
Good job,
That's minus
Clint.
10 points. That is
That's
minus
minus 1,000. Minus 1,000.
No, just give it.
No,
give his
seriously,
points
though.
to me. That's fine.
Okay.
They'll still split up.
Clint and Austin are tied with 60 points. Nate has 10 points, and Ryan has Ryan points, as usual. So, way to stay on brand, Ryan.
Okay.
Well, this
Bingo
episode
square, Ryan points
definitely
in the
does not
future.
favor me, considering that I haven't watched
Ryan
two of the
has
shows that
50
we have experts on. Actually,
It's true.
and
In
you're
all
the
fairness,
expert.
though,
You're the resident expert for Simpsons, Nate, and I don't remember a lot of it either. So I would say yes.
Well,
The deck is stacked.
But you did
against
just
me.
watch Upload, like literally.
I know,
didn't
and
see
I
it, that's already
completely
one of the
blanked on that
questions.
one. But in my defense, I was trying to think that it wasn't Upload. I was like, wait, should I know this? And then after he said,
He even
like,
gave you the clue beforehand. But anyway,
I tried.
yeah, he did.
Round number 6. I'm all jacked up on America right now. Anyone want to hear me recite the Constitution?
I thought he was gonna say I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. I'm like, yeah, that's not the run.
I was waiting for that too. Yeah.
Clint,
Hey, Chet.
that's King of the Hill.
correct.
Who is the character though? That's what I don't know.
I definitely wouldn't know the voice.
Right. I don't either.
I can't
but,
remember the guy's name. It's wait, I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't.
But it. Well, let's take a shot here. Is it Dale?
It is Dale Gribble.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
Nice.
guy's name. There you go.
I don't know the actor that plays him.
The actor's name is Johnny Hardwick.
Hardwick.
Wouldn't
Okay.
have known that
Yep.
one.
All right, number 7. And you can buzz in as soon as you know it. I typed your symptoms into the thing up here, and it says you have network connectivity problems.
Gummit Nate.
Nate,
That is from Parks and Rec,
good,
and that is Andy Dwyer,
good.
and it is played by Chris Pratt.
Nice.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Austin, for the record, A, you can swear on here, and B, one of the bingo squares is the guest swear. So don't hesitate to say
I'm
something
not a
besides.
swearing guy, so
Yeah.
Neither
Don't
is
be a bad
Sully, but
influence
Don't-
on
you
our
do catch
guests.
him
Yeah,
do it
don't
on his
try to
stream sometimes.
influence-
I'm just saying
I said
this is a safe
earlier.
space.
So
All right, round number 8. Through concentration, I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will. Austin,
that is The Office.
correct.
Dwight Schrute said that,
Correct.
and he is played by Rainn Wilson.
Very good. Exactly
Very
correct.
good.
Number 9. Well, what was I supposed to do? Not dance with the dog?
Oh,
Ooh.
what was I supposed to do? Not dance with the dog. We didn't lose points, I would guess, but
Yeah, same.
So the correct answer is King of the Hill,
yeah.
and it was Bobby Hill, who is
Yeah.
played by Pamela Adlon. So kind of like Bart Simpson, played by
Right.
a
A
A
female.
woman. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Head into the last round.
Oh.
Austin has 90 points. Clint has 80. Nate has made a bit of a comeback here with 40. And Brian, still on brand, has Ryan points.
Yeah, shut up.
So, with the last one, this one's a shout out to Clint's mom.
Oh, two times. Two times today.
2 times.
I ate a brownie once at a party in college. It was intense. It was kind of indescribable, actually. I felt like I was floating. Turns out there was no pot in the brownie. It was just an insanely good brownie.
Oh,
Clint,
Parks and Rec.
correct?
Andy Dwyer.
Incorrect. It was Leslie Knope, who is played by Amy Poehler.
Damn.
So we actually have a tie. Austin and Clint each have 90 points. So we're going to
Wait. Before you do that,
Okay.
I thought I had more than that because I've answered 2 questions all the way through.
That's
right?
60.
That's 60.
Maybe I'm losing then because I've answered then 2 partially the way through, which would be
You-
70 and
you-
80.
You answered that next one. I
Oh,
don't
the
remember
King of the
which-
Hill one is the one.
Right.
I didn't
You
know
got
the voice.
Dale Gribble. Right.
That's
so
right.
that's
I'm with you now.
Rick,
You're right.
Rick.
There it is. I'm trying to help you win, Austin.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm all about fairness here.
All right. For this one, you have to name me the character that said this quote.
Is this
Okay?
sorry? Is this just Austin and I?
Yeah, it's just between y'all. It's a tiebreaker. So
Okay.
you just type in the letter T to buzz in for tie.
Okay, got
So
it.
two of y'all. Okay. So name the character. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. Austin.
That's Michael Scott.
That is Michael Scott. Very good.
Good job. Well done, sir.
Our guest, Austin Keel, the Funko Hunko, is the winner with 100 points. Very good, sir. Very good.
Yeah.
I'll say this sentence so you can mark off a bingo thing. I swear that was the best game I've ever played.
There you go, guys. Our guest swore on the air.
There we
I'm
go.
gonna tell your
That
mom.
was. I'm glad he wanted an office question. To be honest, I would have been.
It's true.
I would have actually felt bad if I won on that one. So well done,
So
sir.
you both buzzed in like immediately, like one right after the other. So
Oh, yeah. It was close.
But so for those of you that are listening, we used to do the head tapping thing, but of course cameras are certain speeds. This chat thing is actually a really effective method to see who's actually first. So I appreciate Joey innovating and improving the way this game works, and I appreciate the game itself.
And that way Clint doesn't give himself a headache by buzzing in by slapping his head.
I got a concussion
because we
once.
can
and
hear
that
you
gave me-
on the recording very clearly smacking your
yeah,
head.
smacking yourself as hard as possible,
But
just
don't
to
need
win.
HR coming to us and being like, "Yeah, Clint's not allowed to participate in games anymore because he's harming his brain."
I just want Clint's mom to call us and be like, "What did you do to my son?"
Picking on my boy.
Yeah.
My poor boy, he's
Exactly.
got a concussion because of you guys and your intense games.
Yeah, you're already damaging your brain with your brownies, Clint. We don't need to have you waxing yourself.
better. Anyway, Austin, congratulations on a win. With all the office
Thank you,
questions,
thank
it was not surprising, but
Yeah.
still you had to execute. Well done.
Oh,
Don't
you
say-
were saying
I
that
could
the game
easily
was
I
say
didn't know about all
rigged.
the office questions because I had them split. There was one upload, 3 office, 3
One-
Parks and Rec, and 3 King of the Hill.
yeah,
Zero
you're-
Simpsons.
Upload is not a very quotable show yet.
It's
No,
not.
no.
If you look
Sorry.
online, there's
Zero
actually no
Simpsons
quotes yet.
questions.
I was expecting a Simpson question in there. I really was.
Expecting a Simpsons
But
question.
anyway, Joey, good work on the game as always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
And the guest won, which makes it double good.
Yep.
And Clint lost, so that makes it triple good.
Yes.
Do I get a
I aim
time
to
to
please.
multiplier for that?
Right?
Yes.
Sure. Why not?
This isn't Scrabble,
bring-
but
We should bring all the guests back at some point and do a trivia game just for our guests. I
That
think
would
that
be
would be
rad.
kind
Oh,
of
that
fun.
sounds
That'd be a
fun.
fun podcast. Yeah. So we'll talk about that one offline. But thank you, Joey, for the game as always. It's a lot of fun playing these games. Even though Ryan got 0 points, it's okay, Ryan.
Shush your mouth,
You
Nate.
tried.
How
Shush
many
your
points
mouth.
did Ryan get?
Shush your
A
mouth,
Ryan
Clint.
amount.
Ryan points.
All right,
Ryan
points.
points.
Okay.
Shush your mouth. I'm gonna mute all of you. It's just gonna be Austin and I.
Well, then let Austin
That's gonna be
go ahead
really
and
weird.
plug himself one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, is it part 2 of the plug?
Yes.
It is.
Plug away,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Just follow me on Twitter at Austin__Keel, 2 underscores. And then on Instagram at the Funko Hunko. And that's my board name as well for the Funko boards. And I am creating a mixer right now for the possibility of a drawing live stream. So
Oh, very
We'll
Oh, that'd
see.
be
Well,
cool.
that's awesome.
Do you have your
On-
name reserved on that?
what'd you say?
Do you have your username reserved on Mixer then for that?
Yes, it is the Funko Hunko as
Okay,
well on
good.
Mixer. And I'm still trying to figure out the kinks, but if you follow the social media accounts or keep up with them, I'll update on that. So,
I know somebody that can help you with that. His name starts with R and ends in, well, you'll figure it out.
okay.
Who had 0 points in today's game.
That's right.
Shush your mouth, Nate.
But also, Austin's commissions are open. Please
Wow,
check
thank
out all
you.
his stuff.
Did your email
Um,
share that again? Because I know you shared that earlier.
It's Austin Keel11, KEEL @gmail.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll definitely post that on our Twitter as well, just to
I appreciate it.
help you out there and just kind of keep you in our socials and stuff as
Relevant.
you've done awesome stuff for us, and we truly appreciate it. And thank you for being on today. Hope you had a good time.
I sure did. Thank you guys for having
You have
me.
a sign off ready.
Do I have a sign off ready?
Yeah, you go last. The guest always has last sign off.
Oh, come
He's-
on. This
he's
is the first
panicking.
time listening to this. You should have known this.
I wasn't notified of this.
Well, you have like 7 seconds to think.
Yeah,
so.
you got a few seconds to
so-
think about it.
We can give you a minute. We can give you a minute. Just make sure.
Let's
you're
talk about
following-
something else while he's
You know, you can also listen to the Dorksman wherever you listen to podcasts. We still
Remind him
are
of the
checking
bingo
out.
thing.
There you go. Still checking out SoundCloud. So if you ever want to leave a comment there, at @_Dorksman on Twitter and Instagram, of course, dorksman@gmail.com. You will want to know that for our bingo square contest. Please refer to the beginning of the episode if you'd like to know that again. But we will be talking about it a lot, and we look forward to your creative answers and what you would like to see with future bingo squares. There are many quotes in The Office that I think would make very good sign-offs if you want to use one of those. But you could even just say bye. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, I was just gonna leave it with a corny "Stay awesome, guys" and Nerd Unite. Wow,
That works too.
There you go.
Whatever
That
you
works
wanna do.
too.
Yeah.
What else we got going on this week? We got probably some game streams this week.
Yeah, definitely talk
Dorks
about that
Week
real
on
quick.
Friday.
Game stream usually Tuesday with Clint. Typically
It's gonna
over the
be.
last...
Have to be Wednesday. I have something else Tuesday this
Okay,
week.
well,
so
Wednesday this week. Typically he'll be doing some retro games. We've played Mario Kart with Sully. He's done some Super Mario Brothers. So I'm not sure if you're going to keep it on that same tip.
We're hoping to
this
play
week.
some Splatoon this
Okay,
week. So for
Splatoon.
those of you who don't know Splatoon, it's like the child version of Call of Duty in a sense because you're doing paintballs and paint versus actually killing your opponents. So
Yeah.
Kill him with paint instead of bullets.
Just watch our social channels, and we'll get our streaming
Yeah.
stuff out
We'll
here
sort
probably
that all out.
in the next day or so, because we have some stuff to talk about as well offline about what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. So
Ooh,
just
this
be prepared to
is
see that.
Cool.
No, it's not.
Austin,
We talked about it before we started
Yeah,
recording.
I know. I'm just saying. Austin, you ready? You got something?
Yeah, you'll just go last, Austin. So you'll have a
I
second.
thought I already said that.
Well, if you already signed off, then the episode was over, and Ryan must have stopped recording. So
That's
Oh,
not
wait,
how
yeah,
any of
just
this works.
just
Did
say
he
it
stop
one
recording?
last time. No, just say it one last time after the
After
last
us.
one of us says our sign off.
And if you want to change it, you can.
Okay.
All right. And with that, that's my secret. I'm always angry.
I declare bankruptcy.
We're homies.
5 stars.
Did I stutter?
Well played, sir.